Happy Monday. We're back. Another episode of Go FUD Yourself. For those of you that follow us on the regular, this will not be news to you, but the format of the show has changed a little bit. We're doing the weekly show on Monday at 12:30 p.m. Eastern, which is what we're doing right now. And that's just a once a week. We talk about all the kind of prevailing themes and narratives in the space, and of course, news over the previous week. And then every second Friday, sorry, it's hot as hell in here. Every second Friday, we do FUD with friends, which is really cool. So if you're not familiar with that, like, share, subscribe, press the bell, do all that crap. Today, as you can see, this is not Kiara. We are joined with our good friend, Cher. What's going on, buddy?
Hey now, thank you very much for having me. Excited to be back. It's been a while. It's
been a minute, yeah. It's been a minute. Cher, what kind of stuff are you involved in? Where can people find you and check you out?
You can follow me on X primarily. I'm in other places too. Very comfy. It's VRYCMFY on X and other social medias. I am at the Logos Collective as the program manager for Waku. Waku is a peer-to-peer messaging protocol with privacy as a first-class feature. The Logos Collective is building the infrastructure that will support the network state movements of tomorrow and today and right now.
Awesome. All right. Well, excited to have you. Today we're talking about, the obvious, Bloody Monday. Monday. That's how you say it. Talk about the Bitcoin price, Mt. Gox a little bit. We'll talk about Sony and what they're doing in the space lately. There's a Fed warning that caused some movements, so maybe they should be charged with market manipulation. They probably bought a bunch of Bitcoin or something. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk about some Web3 innovation funds from DWF, $20 million that they're putting for Chinese-speaking regions to try to invest in Chinese-based products. Kind of cool. We'll talk a little bit about that and what the implications are there. And we're going to talk about ENS, Ethereum name services, a little bit to end the show today. Sound good?
Sounds great. I have opinions on all of it.
Perfect. Let's go. All right, so hey, were you around when Mt. Gox happened?
I was. It was early. I believe it was like 2016.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
It was when I was still quite the neophyte, or even not far from adept at the time, and I didn't fully understand the implication. Although it became, once the numbers, the hundreds of millions, if not like so many Bitcoin lost, that I was aware it was huge, but I didn't really understand the significance. And it's interesting that it's coming back now at this point. I think very timely, given when the halvening happened, how the price is dumping now, and what might happen.
Oh boy,
from here.
Cher's got the tin hat on for this one.
Always. I never take it off.
It's cool to see that they recovered so much of the lost Bitcoin. And a lot of these people in 2016, the chances of them diamond handing their Bitcoin until today, for many people, is probably pretty slim. So it's forced buy and hold. So some of them are going to be substantially better off, I think, than where they would have been before. The challenge is, and this is what the article says, the commencement of Mt. Gox repayment process has introduced volatility to the Bitcoin market, stirring concerns among investors. Despite initial fears, Despite initial fears of a significant sell-off due to the distribution of 150,000 BTC from the defunct exchange, the market has shown resilience. As the Bitcoin and the Bitcoin Cash distributions are staggered over the next 3 months, depending on the exchange, There could be some moderation, they're saying, of a massive price dump. Bitcoin currently trades on or about 56,000, experiencing a slight recovery after a drop below 54. Okay. Is this what's driving price concerns, do you think, my friend?
Certainly, I think supply has a lot to do with it. And if the dump is on of so many hundreds of thousands, tens, if not hundreds of thousands of Bitcoin are going to be outflowing, or at least that's the expectation, then I would assume so. I don't see any other reason. I think it's a great entry opportunity, especially for people that have had this on their radar. If you understand that this is happening, then this is something easy to plan around, especially as there's a certain level of, they have to stay public with this information as it rolls out. I, like the intrepid and highly planned and detail-oriented person, I did not take this into consideration at all, and I'm completely underwater everywhere, and it hurts. But my sentiment is high. I think this is but a blip. How low we will go, that will be interesting to see. I remember BTC at 3,000 in 2020, in March of 2020. Like, what kind of parallel will we have to that? And then, have we seen the bottom? I don't know. That's the billion-dollar question.
The ultimate conclusion here is we just don't know. No one knows. I'm probably in the camp, not financial advice in any way, because this is just purely speculation, but I'm probably in the camp that thinks we need more run ahead of us. I think there's too much venture money that's out there that is way underwater currently. A lot of money has been deployed and very little returns realized. That would be seriously problematic for the space. And I think there's enough institutional money flowing around now that, that there's some people that care about making money, I guess. So anyways, all of that, I think that we're going to have to see another one, I hope. But who knows, man? I wish I knew the answer. But Sony seems to think that there's some opportunity in Bitcoin, or in crypto in general. This is like complete news to me. Sony and crypto and blockchain kind of seems like a weird mismatch, I think. But nonetheless, they've launched S-Blocks, a revamped crypto exchange in Japan. Sony is set to reinvigorate its involvement in the cryptocurrency sector with the launch of a new crypto exchange, S-Blocks, in Japan. Building on its previous acquisition of Whalefin, now renamed to S-Blocks, Sony plans to introduce significant enhancements, including a new app and a redesigned user interface. This move underscores Sony's commitment to expanding its footprint in the digital asset trading space, marking a significant step in its broader strategy to integrate into the cryptocurrency market. Is this opportunism, or do you think they actually care?
I think it's a strong signal.
Do you care that Sony is launching an exchange?
I care. I'm interested in the detail, like the technical details of what it will be. Will it be a permissionless and open and decentralized blockchain? I doubt it. Why would they do it otherwise? Why not just use the options already available? So I doubt that, but I think this indicates that Sony expects that a lot of people will be using this type of tech, will be familiar enough with it to use Sony's blockchain. But if you think about just the PlayStation alone and the marketplace and the ecosystem within that, and talking about owning assets and gaming, the noise around gaming and crypto is always very loud. But I think Sony is probably one of the biggest players there. So that is its own use case, and I think an easy conclusion to draw. But for me, this signals that they think there's going to be at least a certain amount of money to be made and a certain amount of action to be had, enough for them to invest this much into it and to plan this far ahead with it. So it's a bullish indicator to me. Will I use the Sony blockchain? I don't know. I haven't owned a PlayStation since PS3. I'm not bragging. I'm just saying.
It's interesting that we have these conversations, because what I was going to say has now completely been debunked by you bringing up gaming. I forgot about Sony and PlayStation and that really important angle to their involvement in crypto, because I was going to say otherwise it's like asking your car mechanic to come do your dental work. Like, yeah, they're both good with their hands, but they don't have expertise in different fields. In this particular case, it seems weird to me that Sony is trying to run an exchange. I don't think they have expertise in the exchange running business, but I do understand now, thanks to you, sir, the business case a little bit more. I mean, I think it's generally interesting. I would love to see maybe some competition in the microchip space from Sony and others that have the infrastructure and cash on hand probably to invest in some of that stuff. And that would potentially reduce compute costs and a lot of different costs in the space, which would be great. But in this particular case, I mean, might as well have a big brand. At least there's some brand recognition and marketing capacity there. Hopefully it turns out to be something good. Any final thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I know. Like, I would be interested. Like the biggest release that I'm aware of. I'll get a lot of all the gamers come at me because but I think GTA 6 is the biggest thing on the horizon, right? Which is not like specifically Sony owned. It's Rockstar, or like whatever.
I think it's on multiple platforms.
But that alone, we'll see. I think that will be an event where there's gonna be more mainstream attention on the cutting edge of releases for gaming probably since the last GTA, or I don't know. It's going to be pretty huge because there's hardcore gamers, there's sort of consistent gamers, and there's passive gamers, casual gamers, and then passive gamers, and then people who haven't played in a long time, like meaningfully, other than here or there. I think everyone's going to play GTA 6 just because they'll have to. I think it's going to become that kind of the zeitgeist, whatever. It's going to be around it just because, at least for my generation, I think, and I'm in my mid to late 30s, it had a huge impact on my. I remember playing the bird's eye view GTA. Anyway, I digress. I think I'm interested to see what they do in terms of crypto, in terms of digital assets, how they might incorporate, or what kind of what they'll introduce on that side, and then what will Sony do off of that? If there's a GTA token, if there's GTA items to buy and sell, will they be on the Sony block? What blockchain would GTA put it on? I think this is where potentially.
I don't know if they're building a chain. They're building a centralized exchange, is what I understood.
I read it as if they're just doing a centralized exchange, that's actually way cooler to me.
It's cooler, yes, but I guess what I'm hoping is that they put some Sony twist on it. Like they do something specific to Sony so that it is meaningfully an innovation in the right direction. Otherwise, to me, on the surface, it seemed like a bit of a cash grab. Company with a big name that has relationships in Japan can navigate the gauntlet of regulation in Japan, which is a pretty tough one at the moment, apparently. And it's just opportunistic. That's what I initially thought, but I don't know. You've kind of changed my mind a little bit in talking about this. Why was your gut that that's exciting that it's an exchange?
Because they're people don't have to reinvent the wheel so much, especially like if you like with building blockchains, in that it's a difficult thing to do. Reinvent the wheel maybe isn't the right way, but I think people are building blockchains and L2 and stuff when maybe they don't need to. And so for a big giant corporation, like it makes that people, even Coinbase, like there's name recognition in Coinbase for some markets because it's been around for a long time, but it's like a Sony marketplace. I think people will be more apt to trade on a Sony SEX than even a Coinbase or a Binance or whatever, because there's so much name recognition. Sony puts out really quality stuff in terms of their hardware. They've always put out consistently good quality things. There's a level of attention to their user experience and engineering and details. So if they are going to have a SEX that Asia will be using a lot, that America will be, or all markets will be using because of the name recognition, brings new people into the market. I think that's the part. And then whatever PlayStation or gaming integrations might happen from there, that will be interesting. So those two things.
Yeah. We could probably go on about this one for quite a while. Again, I'd love to see continued innovation here. So hopefully they do something interesting. But the Fed in the United States is not helping our cause either. Jerome Powell, the Federal Reserve Chair, was talking about recently the unsustainable U.S. deficit levels amidst market volatility. Bitcoin and other major cryptocurrencies like Ethereum, XRP, Solana have seen significant declines. Powell's remarks highlight concerns over the U.S. debt situation, intensifying investor anxiety and contributing to a steep sell-off in the crypto market. I mean, to most of us, this seems pretty obvious. Like, I don't know who other than Biden thought the economy was firing on all cylinders right now. Like, the debt is completely and utterly out of control. We add $1 trillion to national debt every 100 days in the United States currently. That's with no new spending. It's absolutely out of control, and it is going to create catastrophic results, in my opinion. Do you think that a lot of the outflows in BTC ETFs, et cetera, that has also been driving the price down is due to this, or where are you at?
Bless you.
Excuse me. Thank you.
I think it all is related and interwoven. I think it all contributes to. They both contribute to each other in the U.S. debt situation and what's happening with inflation, which is so much incredibly higher than anyone. Whatever's being reported, it's 10 times higher than that. And just seeing prices locally of everyday goods and let alone luxury items, things are spiraling quickly into unsustainable levels. I think it's something that's been known just for like the data, for regular consumers. The imminent failure of the United States financial system has been predicted by many, and there's absolutely nothing being done to thwart it or in any way try to change things. The 100 every 100. I wasn't aware of that, but $1 trillion every 100 days. That sounds about right. And I saw a projection in April that the economy will be a complete failure before the year 2030, which makes you wonder, like, what's all these 2030 plans that we hear all over the place? And more like, well, why that year specifically? Well, it looks like we'll be in a completely new economic paradigm by then, whether it's I mean, this isn't, I don't think that's too tinfoily. The writing is on the wall. Our debt is beyond ballooning. It's hot air ballooning. It's reached the stratosphere.
Yeah,
There's nothing being done about it.
Yeah, we're already upside down. I mean, our debt exceeds GDP by a significant margin already. I think it's like 15 or 20%, which is a huge problem because, I mean, our debt has to continue to downgrade if that happens, which means it gets more expensive, which means it causes more inflation. So anyways, we don't need to spend a whole ton of time on this one because it is kind of doom and gloom and a little bit sad, but you can thank Fed Chair Powell. It caused the market to dump pretty significantly. About 200 billion was wiped out of the crypto market since that announcement or comment, and a 7.72% drop in Bitcoin as a consequence. So it turns out that, and I think we all know this, and we've kind of been saying this, but there's some small catalysts that really can move the entire market still. And it's unfortunate because they don't even have to be real. They're just speculative, which is kind of insane. But here we are, probably something to look at. I don't think, although politicians and everybody wants you to believe that we have the best economy ever and there's so low unemployment and everything's going to be fine, I don't think so. Like, there's no way.
I do think everything is going to be fine, but it won't be because the government or politicians or executives make it so for us.
They're not going to save you. I don't think.
For the people. Thank God, like, there's more resources for people than ever to make it okay for ourselves,
right?
To help each other.
Okay, let's I suppose move on from some of that kind of depressing information. And DWF Labs, obviously has always been focused more in the Asian markets, has unveiled a $20 million Cloudbreak fund for Web3 innovation in Chinese-speaking countries. And so essentially this is aimed at fostering Web3 development within Chinese-speaking communities. The fund targets sectors such as gaming finance, social finance, meme coins, derivatives, foundational blockchain technologies like layer 1 and layer 2 projects. How do you feel about this one, my friend? Do you think that we need region-specific funds? Like, is that a thing? Are we missing Chinese developers? How do you feel about that?
I don't know. I mean, I'm aware of and work with a few Chinese developers specifically in this space, but perhaps I think DWF specifically, I'm keenly interested because I know that they have partnerships with projects that I'm specifically invested in. So seeing them moving in any market and spending any sort of money makes me feel good about things for personal reasons.
Yeah.
But I think, I don't know, region specific money, like it depends. I think the context of crypto, Web3, different tokens, different blockchains, it's probably very region specific. And I can't speak too much to what the sentiment and energy around it is in China right now. It would be good for me to, but I can't. And so perhaps there is, thinking about the marketing of crypto in general, like marketing, I say, like just all of the awareness, attention, communication around it for the past 10 years has had a certain flavor in the United States. And it's very polarizing. There's like a certain personality that will be all for it. And then, more traditional maybe viewpoints have been against it until recently. I wonder about it because we hear the FUD that we hear out of or whatever that we hear all the time, like sort of on a cycle, is like China's going to ban Bitcoin again. What does that even mean? Or is that just a story? Is that just a story for Westerners to eat like whenever there's a slow news cycle and they things need to pop? I don't know, but if that's the case, then
throw out some China FUD.
It's just an ingredient now. Like we don't know if it's actually real. But I wonder, like if there's work to do in terms of the view that people have on crypto over there, then it would make sense for them to be investing. So especially if they see opportunity, they wouldn't be investing if they didn't see opportunity, if they didn't see something to move on. So
I mean, I don't have a problem with this per se. I think it's a private fund. You can build in whatever parameters, thesis, structures into your business as you think is going to lead to success. That's cool. I also think part of one of the core components of blockchain is, creating access and borderless opportunity. And so, I mean, along those lines, we should be trying to foster the smartest and brightest people, regardless of where they're at on planet Earth, to join the space and start building and innovating and contributing. So are there people in China that can add significantly? Yeah. I mean, one of the largest countries in the world, and there's a lot of super smart people there. I mean, we could be missing out on a lot of innovation because of embargoes and different things preventing many of us from investing in China. Now, DWF, what I'm also interested, because they're a market maker, or were a market maker first, I would be interested to see if this fund comes with contingencies if we invest, but you have to use us as a market maker. That would be interesting to see. And it could be a very good way to grow that market making business inadvertently. So it could be a good model to watch. Anyways, I think all in all, it's good. Any more investment in the space, I think it's good for the space. That's kind of where I land on it. Okay, finally, how many ENS domains do you own, my man? Do you have a bunch?
I like a handful, less than 10.
Did you, like, when it first was coming out, were you like trying to register domains to get airdrops and stuff?
No, I was not making like Mikey Damaris, unfortunately. So I only had the handful, though I was able to, things timed out right where I was helping someone become familiar, get onboarded in the space, and recommended that they buy an ENS name of their preferred screen name, like 1 week before the ENS airdrop. So it's like an instant 5K in their pocket. It's like welcome to Ethereum. That was 2021, baby. That was 2021.
Back in the good old days, wasn't it? Well, they're introducing a new brand identity, which I think was well overdue, personally. And they've redesigned their website to make it Web3 more user-friendly and accessible, especially for new people coming to the space, obviously. Revealed at ETHCC in Brussels, this rebranding includes an updated aesthetic while maintaining its iconic logo. The changes are primarily focused on ENS's marketing materials, aiming to simplify the user experience to mirror the ease of the traditional internet. I've been a big fan of ENS just because I think it's a fresh, new approach, and they're solving real problems, I think, in terms of domain sovereignty and so on. So I'm a big fan of this. I think rebranding is something that often can inject life into a brand, as long as the rebrand isn't like to try to save their ass, so to speak. And rebranding in the direction of user experience and simplifying things and making it much easier to navigate, I think is a win. So I'm curious, what are your thoughts on this?
ENS is super useful just simply from the being able to share an address with people. Like just from there's like a real need and use case for the service that they provide, and maybe it's been lost in the noise of everything else. But I think like they have a product that is very real, useful. People use it, and it will continue to like. Who wants? Nobody has their address memorized, let alone their private key, but certainly not their public key. And so ENS names, like, it's pretty clear there. I think I have no idea what ENS is trading at currently. I think they were very, they probably got used to a lot of cash on hand from the last airdrop. I'm not sure where things are at now, but I remember it at $70 after it first launched.
25. It's at $25 and change right now.
It's actually not that bad at all. All things considered.
Impressive.
Yeah, that's very good. So I think a rebrand like ENS, they would probably do well to get their name out more. And if they've done research to the if they've done research to this end and realize that people don't recognize who they are or don't understand what service they provide, and it has to do with brand identity, then good luck to them. Maybe they just have a new creative director that needs to make a splash, and that's fine too. But they brought them in for a reason, so here we are. I will continue to use it. I'm always looking for reasons to like. There's unlimited ENS names that I want to own. And Mike Damaris does own most of the good rapper names. If you followed that saga through the years, I think he had soldierboy.eth forever, right? And finally, Soulja Boy reached out to, this is Mike of Rainbow Wallet, the founder, one of the founders of Rainbow Wallet. So Mike had soldierboy.eth forever, kept reaching out to him. Not only him, he had Waka Flocka Flame. He had every single good rapper ENS name, and he's collecting them for free, trying to give them to rappers. So Soulja Boy, of course, sent a Coinbase Ethereum address to Mike instead of his, an actual address that you can recover an ENS name from. Not an address that he controlled. And so if you look up soldierboy.eth, you will find that wallet that was sent to. It's dead. It can't be found. Soulja Boy will never have soldierboy.eth, nor will anyone else, unless Coinbase plays some funny games to recover.
In 10 years from now, if I'm ever doing some like crazy crypto trivia, now I'll know. Now I'll know that soldierboy.eth can never be used as an
I've been paying attention to the important things.
Yeah, no shit. All right. Before we send everybody off, we've got one new article with respect to Coinbase to talk about. Coinbase has secured a massive $32.5 million contract with U.S. Marshals for crypto custody and trading. Coinbase Prime, the institutional arm of Coinbase, has entered into a $32.5 million agreement with the U.S. Marshals Service to manage and trade the agency's seized digital assets. This collaboration underscores the role of Coinbase in aiding law enforcement with asset management, reflecting its ongoing commitment to secure and compliant market operations.
I wonder how they arrived at 32.5 million.
I have no idea. This, to me, is the only logical option for the U.S. Marshals Service. So, I mean, I don't find this that overwhelmingly exciting. Like they have to use a custody venue, and the only major one available to them with a centralized exchange is Coinbase. So,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I mean, I think this is important to note that, and we've been talking about this on this pod for a couple of years now, but it's important to note that, you know, law enforcement and federal agencies are catching up, and, you know, day by day, week by week, we are getting better as a space at protecting users and, you know, at kind of the forensic side of figuring out what happened when assets go missing and so on and so forth. And so from that perspective, I like to see this. I like to see that the U.S. Marshals have a contract and a structure and a strategy, hopefully some consultation on how and when to sell things and, you know, not to kill the markets. For me, on balance, it's a positive, although I don't think it says anything for Coinbase really, other than we all know they're the only publicly traded exchange in America. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's very exciting for U.S. law enforcement to have a safe and easy offboard for all of the seized assets that they're going to, get their hands on. I mean, I guess, I don't know. My opinion, I think it's good that, you know, this is government adoption, like whether or not it's the type that we want, perhaps, but or that gets people excited. You know, thinking about the Ross Ulbricht story and what happened with all of that missing Bitcoin from
Silk Road.
Why am I blanking on the name? Silk Road, yeah. And some of the tomfoolery that happened between some of the agents assigned to that case, and, you know, or at least allegedly, it would be good. It's good that things might be more transparent between law enforcement, but yeah, now there's an official bridge between law enforcement and being able to dump their seized funds on retail.
Don't fund my good news, Chair.
I'm not. This is great. This is great.
You and I do sit slightly in different areas of opinion on that one, so I think it's always interesting to dig into. All right, dude. Well, thanks a ton for joining us today. Thank you, everybody, for, you know, bearing with us. I know it's been a pretty kind of somber week in the space. Everything's been kind of just dump city and doom and gloom and stuff. But I think there's a lot of reasons to be positive still. I think there's a lot of great technologies being built. And, you know, we just need to wait for the world to give us that catalyst we're looking for.
I'm still excited. This is part of it.
You got to sweat it out. You got to sweat it out and stress about it for a bit to make it worth it when you know, if and when you can actually win. All right. Again, like, share, subscribe, press the bell, help us out, help us get the word out. And with that, Chair, I say to you today, go FUD yourself. Thank you.
Thank you.
With that, I have to say, go FUD yourself.
Go FUD yourself.